guys, how's it going and welcome back. So today is an update review. Sometimes I do this with stuff I buy because I think it warrants an update. So today we're recording everything, vocals and music, on my H1 Zoom recorder that is hooked direct to my mixing board through the line out on that mic. So this way we don't have to record audio and splice stuff in. And it's being used as a room mic, of course, and it's about 6 feet away from me and a little further from the amp. Today we're going to use the Roland Cube 40 XL amplifier. We're going to use clean on the clean channel, then we're going to switch to the lead channel and use an acoustic simulator effect, as well as some distortion for you guys who like to really rock down the house like I do. Anyways, I like quiet stuff too, but you know, hey, you got to have your variety, right? So, full specs you can actually check out on the Jackson website. It's going to give you the most specs available to you for this guitar. And the full title of the model of this is in the video title, so just copy paste and go to Jackson and find this exact guitar. Now this of course is a left-handed version. They do have right-handed guitars, obviously. They don't have many left-handeds. They're kind of a little bit like Epiphone that way, and it's like, we need more lefties. You want to make more money even out of me? Give me more lefties. You know what I mean? Or hey, just give me one. I'd be happy. I like the blue. It's my favorite shade of blue, and that was the first thing that probably attracted me to this guitar. Is I saw this thing and it stood out from all the guitars, right? And I'm like, what the heck is that? And then I see it, lefty, nice. Humbuckers, pretty cool. Black hardware, awesome. Floyd, darn it. You know, and I kind of debated this thing for quite a while, you know, because it's kind of like, I really hate Floyds. And I had a real nightmare experience with my Yamaha RGX back in the 80s, and we didn't have YouTube back then to help us out. And even people in general, you know, technicians especially, some of them, it was very new to them too, so even figuring out how to tune these things was a real pain. And so when new technology comes out, it gets a little interesting until you learn stuff. Well, now we have YouTube, and I found a channel that has been a great help. The guy talked about everything about these Floyds, and he also has a sheet you can download to help you with tuning on how to properly tune these things, because there's a sequence to it. Now, I've come up with two things that work for me, and I haven't really read through the paper that much, so some of this stuff may be the same as his. But I found there's two ways that work, and one way that actually works the best. Okay, when you do have to unlock your nut. Okay, you back off all your screws until they just touch the top of each pin that they're supposed to be touching for tuning at the fine tuner area. Then go in 2 turns is the magic number I found for this guitar. Okay, so it may be different from each guitar, but definitely this one, 2 turns. Then I go and I tune from the inside out. Now, you either go inside out or outside in, but I go from the inside outward here at the headstock, and I follow the same thing here. I did try inside out and then going outside in. Doesn't work, okay? There's a balance for some reason that has to be maintained. I don't know. It's just the way it seems to work on this thing. But I can go outside in and then do outside in here, and I get very similar results. My best results are actually going from the middle, going outward. So I would start DG, okay, then you go AB, and then EE, okay, so high E and then the low E is last. And that seems to work the best for this guitar. Keeps it in tune extremely well. I tuned the thing up last night, grabbed it before the video, checked it out, and it sounded great. And I heard just a little hint of offness, so I checked the tuning. My low E was out just a smidge, because wood moves all the time. These things don't stay in tune forever. And my humidity level we've been fighting with in here for the last few days, it's up to 37 now. It needs to be at 40 or above. I prefer usually about 50% even in this room, and my guitars are the most stable at 50%. But 40 to 60% is where you need to keep your humidity levels in throughout your entire house, actually, so that you don't have to reacclimate room to room, or when you open the door you don't lose all the humidity and have to try rebalancing it again. So it's kind of one of those things where we just do the entire house and try and keep the levels as precise as we can. So anyway, so I'm going to do a little bit of playing for you guys, and then we'll talk in the end about my actual real final thoughts on this guitar and on Floyd's. Okay, let's switch over to the acoustic channel. So, let's check out some distortion. This is called R-Fire. It's called Metal. Still into. Nice. Alright. I love this guitar. So, all in all, this thing kicks butt. I still don't think it's a good guitar for beginners just because it's a Floyd. But certainly any other decked bridge models or, semi-floaters like a Strat probably be a good thing. But Floyd Roses I don't really think are for beginners. When I got my first guitar, the Floyd Rose, way back in the day, of course, like I said, nobody really knew a whole lot about them. They were cool, and but they sucked. They really did. A lot of us hated the living daylights out of them. And like I said, we didn't have the net, we didn't have YouTube, so it made life very miserable until you figured it out. But nowadays we have all that, so we're all good. The color scheme is great on this thing. I mean, they did a really good job. They might have chosen something a little bit different than white binding, though, especially with a blue body, but yeah, whatever. I like it, though. It kind of does look nice, and, it's good. I love the black hardware. The black hardware definitely suits this. If this would have had chrome hardware, I probably wouldn't have gone after it, even though it's my favorite color. I would have been a little bit more like, can you get that with black hardware? You can change hardware all you want. I did it to my Les Paul Studio. I went from chrome to gold, But it gets expensive doing that, But this thing was just right from the beginning, Perfect color. I love it. I like the style. I like the arch top in the guitar. It's got nice smooth contours, throughout. This thing is very comfortable to play. Give you some close-ups here. So you can see you've got the belly cut here, and you've got lots of, cutout in here, so you get up to the higher frets with a lot more comfort. But definitely a winner for me, even with metal knobs. The only plastic on this thing is going to be, your little hat switch for your what do you call it? The button cover for the switch, That's the only thing that's plastic. If I could get that in metal, man, this thing would totally be awesome. But I'm fine with it the way it is either way, so I don't mind. They did a really nice job on the guitar in the end. The styling is very interesting, especially with the headstock design, which is another attracting part. If you're going to play something that's kind of like a rock or a metal guitar, you want something that looks mean, And that does kind of give it a bit of a mean look, even against the blue body, But I like this shade of blue. It's actually probably my most favorite out of all the blues I like. They are passive pickups too, and very high output, and they're Jackson's pickups. Same as this thing I think this is just a licensed Floyd. I don't think it's the real deal. Just Jackson by Floyd Rose. So, I don't know. It says everything on the specs. I can't remember everything at the top of my brain, So just check that and you'll know if it's a licensed, version or the deal. Usually it says, made by Floyd Rose, I think. But been a long time since I went anywhere near Floyd, so I can't honestly say that 100% without doing a little bit more homework on that area. Now, I did upgrade the strap pins on this to Schuyler locking strap locks. With all my electric guitars, they all get Schuyler strap locks. These things are the bomb. Okay, even the Chinese copies are equally as good as the real Schuyler's. So if you can't afford $35 Canadian for a set of Schuyler's or whatever they cost in the States, I've bought in Schuyler copies that I've used on, you know, cheaper guitars, and they cost me like $5 a set, you know, from Wish.com. So it's like, you know, and you can get them on Amazon really cheap too. Amazon has them now really super cheap, and, you know, prime shipping. You got them in 2 days instead of waiting, you know, how many months in the mail. Yeah. So, playability, great. Stays in tune awesomely. You know, all that bending I put it through, and, you know, and pulling back, you know, so when you're back here, you're actually pulling, stretching the strings higher when you're back here with the bar. You can also snug up the bar just enough to keep it out of your way completely. So if you want to do that kind of like a bang, bang kind of thing as you're strumming, you know, like type of thing, it's a neat little effect. The bar can pretty much stay there if you snug up the collar. I usually like to run the collar a little bit looser just so that I can get it if I need it. But otherwise, you know, I'll leave it a little snug. When it's on the rack, I actually leave it snugged up so that it can't interfere with anything. But overall, yes, I still stand by my original review of everything I said about it. So to find out that information, go check out my original review. And I am starting to really enjoy and love the Floyd, especially now that I've learned how to actually tune the sucker. And it stays in tune really well. I can play what I just played now, and I can do that for probably, I don't know, an hour or two before I'm going to even notice anything kind of sounds a little funky. So that's actually pretty good and respectable. So Floyd Rose systems are really good once you get used to using them, and once you get accustomed with the tuning. You know, I mean, it's not just getting used to the Floyd as far as me, it's getting accustomed to the tuning and how they need to be tuned. And these dials are very sensitive, which is another thing you really need to keep in mind. They are very sensitive. They're not overly sensitive. I've seen worse. But they are very sensitive nonetheless. So like if you have to down tune, for example, you still have to follow the same rule. So if you're up in pitch even by like 1 mark, that can throw the guitar off. Okay, so you got to go back down below. So if you go like, say, I don't know, half turn down, it should flatten you down by 1, and then just ever so gently bring it up into position, and it'll hold, okay? And you'll get it in tune. And that's the funny thing about tuners with these things. This is a funky headstock. And I have a Snark tuner, a red one here. There is just enough room to set it up just like this, okay? So I can set up just on an angle like that, and I can still get at my display, obviously. That actually works. So there's not a ton of room in this area, but the Snark Red tuner is actually probably their fastest and best tuner of all their Snark tuners, and I know because I own about 3 or 4 of these suckers in different models because I wanted to try them out. And this one I find the red one is actually the best, but make sure you leave it on the vibrate only mode. Don't use the mic mode at all. Just leave it on vibrate mode, and then this way it takes the vibrations from your headstock to the tuner. Another little trick I tried for giggles the other day was I actually clamped this thing actually right onto the whammy bar and tried to tune the guitar, and it actually worked, but I wouldn't recommend it, you know, because it does kind of get in your way. I just wanted to try something as a stupid little stunt to see if it would do anything. But it is going to tune the best from the headstock. That or a pedal board tuner works great if you have a separate pedal board tuner because you like separate pedals. I prefer the processor boards, and mine's got a really super sensitive tuner in it that is far more sensitive than even this thing. And I will use it from time to time, especially if I want to really get super, super precise and dial that in, and then the thing will hold for like most of the day. You know, depending on what I'm doing though. But yeah, great guitar, love it. Check them out if you're interested in Jackson guitars. This is one that I would actually recommend. I do have personal experience with it, obviously. I don't know a lot about their other guitars other than that you start at about $400 for this left-handed version in Canada, and in the States they're $299 US. Works out to be about the same thing either way. So yeah, great guitar. I'm going to definitely look at other Jackson guitars down the road one of these days, perhaps, if I decide, you know, I want to get another Jackson. I may do so, but otherwise I really think that this is a great guitar, but definitely not for beginners, okay? And I say this as a very stressed maybe for a beginner that is an advanced beginner. So if you're just about to hit that intermediate range of being a player, then I would say you might be okay with going into this, but make sure you've had a few guitars first and you've had some experience and you've learned a little bit about setups. So very much study that stuff. I have not had to touch the neck on this, and it does have a super low action, and I didn't have to touch the intonation on this thing from the factory, so that was good. You're not always going to get away with that. Sometimes it needs a full setup before it even leaves the shop, so you know, really check it out over good before you decide to buy it. If you are a beginner and you are going to be crazy and try buying a guitar of any brand or kind that has a Floyd on it, just be aware that you're going to have to do a lot of studying on YouTube just to figure these things out and know about them inside and out, because this will give you your best experience and best chance. Far better than what we had in the 80s with no internet and no YouTube. You know, nowadays we have that. I had to study all about the Floyds and many different YouTube channels and looking up information about them aside from that to learn more about this system, and I still ended up giving it a chance either way, and I'm very glad I did, because I really am starting to love this system. Even though I still kind of hate it a little bit, I still do love it, but as long as I keep in mind which tuning setup for me worked the best on this particular guitar, I will continue to do so. I will say this though, I highly doubt, only because of all the information I found, I highly doubt you will ever be able to take a Floyd Rose system and just go from low E to high E straight down and then do the same thing here for tuning, because it just doesn't seem to work. Floyd Rose is Floyd Rose, and that's all there is to it. And I've not come across even one channel anywhere that would even suggest that you could do it that way. In fact, everybody suggests not to, because there's a sequence that works and keeps everything balanced as you're tuning, and so that's what I'm going with. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching and paying attention to the video. You know, if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe and smash that, you know, bell for notifications. And if you liked the video, give it a good smash and thumbs up. And we'll catch you on the next one for sure. Thanks again, and see you later.